ACR is an OCI compliant registry. One thing that we released recently was Connected Registry. So that's an extension of ACR to on-premises. We've been working also on a lot of open source stuff. So one of the things that we are actually very proud of is...
Hey folks, welcome to another edition of AKS Me Anything. Today I'm here with Toddy, who works in our Azure Container Registry team. So the team that you might, the product you might use across to pull images, push images, manipulate them, get them into your AKS clusters or VMs. And I'm pretty excited to have you here, kind of talking a little bit about what the team has been working on. What have the ACR team been up to recently? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes.
What we've been working is mainly improvements on ACR. So we are looking at kind of security improvements. We are trying to release something called ABAC, or attribute-based access control, which will allow much more granular access control on not only on the whole registry, but on distinct repository levels.
So how is that different? So I know RBAC, role-based, so that is what I typically use to give me permissions to the registry, or my cluster identities, like the kubelet identity permissions to pull from the registry. How does ABAC differ from that?
Yeah, RBAC, when you give access using RBAC, you give access to everything in the registry right now.
The whole resource? The
whole resource, yeah. If you have, like, for example, repository inside the registry, which are, let's say, for your Python images, or for your application images, or for your sidecars, you have access to everything. Which means that, like, if I am a developer with access, I can go and override, for example, Envoy image.
I see.
Or with ABAC, actually, we are getting that a little bit more kind of granular, where you can go and say, look, developers, they have only access to a repository where the application image is, and they don't have access to the base images, they don't have access to any sidecars that only AKS is supposed to pull, which means that on the AKS cluster, you can only give permissions to pull the sidecars and the application images, but not the base images. So much more granular control.
Very cool. So before, if I'm like team 1, team 2, and we're like in the slash, my ACR slash team 1, my ACR slash team 2, then I have access to both.
Yes.
But now with ABAC, you're going to be able to, each team only have access to their right repository.
Exactly.
And how do I control that? Is it like that? Is like rejects where I say you have access to team 1 and I have access to team 2?
Right now, so it's an extension of the RBAC.
Okay.
And the way that we control it at the moment is using namespaces. So you can dedicate a namespace for team 1, and you give access only to team 1 members to that namespace.
And when you say namespace, that's not a Kubernetes namespace.
No, that's not a Kubernetes namespace. That's kind of the, we call namespaces also the different hierarchies in the registry. So when you have a repository, the repository can be team 1 / my application. So the namespace is team 1.
Got it. Got it. So that's what you call a namespace.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so based on the namespaces, you then give those ABAC, and you, prior to that, you need to already have RBAC access to the resource itself.
You need to have like RBAC access.
Very good.
Yeah.
And so, and who can change the ABAC permissions? Is it anybody with RBAC access, or is there a specific?
No, you need to have a specific role. So we changed all the roles. Previously, we had very kind of broad roles that we have defined. Now you have specific roles for different actions on both the control plane on the registry as well as on the data plane.
Very good. Very good. Very helpful for kind of tenancy scenarios and multi-tenancy across the board.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
So a lot of customers are interested to actually have single registry where they can give access to different teams, and that helps them actually do this.
Very cool. Well, what else? I interrupted you because I was very curious. What else has the team been working on?
One thing that we released recently was something called Connected Registry. So that's an extension of ACR to on-premises. And we have a way to synchronize, for example, repositories that you define in the configuration from the cloud registry to on-prem. And also it works in a disconnected mode. So if you lose connectivity between, let's say, your premises for up to 90 days, right, this registry can serve the images to your Kubernetes cluster on premises. So it's very, we developed that initially a long time ago for IoT purposes, but now we see it also, we made extension for Arc. So you can use Azure Arc to really control that.
Yeah, I can see. So it's like in previously you see like IoT cases of devices all over the world, but now we see kind of the edge being so many different form factors, and so you might want to have a registry across your Arc Kubernetes cluster, be it in a more smaller footprint like a IoT scenario, but also maybe a larger on-prem data center. Very cool. And so it's synchronizing with the cloud one unless there's no connectivity. Is that kind of how it works?
Yep.
Very good.
So, and keeps actually state. So if you push new things to the cloud, next time when it connects, actually synchronizes them
automatically.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so how do you control the permissions? Is it basically regular pool secrets? How does it typically work?
Yeah, we use something called scope maps and tokens. It's very similar to the ABAC stuff that I explained. So you can define a scope map, which is for certain repositories that you want to sync, and you issue a token that you can use on the connected registry, which is on-premise, to synchronize those repositories. And also you can issue additional tokens for devices or clients for the on-premise registry that they can use to also pull the images itself.
Very cool. And so if I'm a user now, my next question would be, how do I pay this? Is it I pay it by using a registry in the cloud and having it on like the premium tier? Is that how
it's part of our premium tier? Yes, we have 3 tiers for ACR. One is the basic, one is standard, and premium. So premium tier has kind of the richest set of features. Connected registry itself also is paid by registry, and it is $10 per month per registry, connected registry that you deploy. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Understood. Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. Anything else?
We've been working also on a lot of open source stuff. So one of the things that we are actually very proud of is Auras. I don't know whether you've heard of that open source project, but it is a project for managing artifacts in the registry.
Okay, so not container images.
Not container images. So ACR is an OCI compliant registry. OCI stands for Open Container Initiative. That's the standard for container registries. And with the new OCI specification 1.1, you can put anything in the registry, not only container images. It was developed mainly for supply chain purposes, that you can add SBOMs, attach the SBOMs to the image that you're pushing to the registry.
Basically get a good list of all your dependencies and everything that you use.
Yeah, and all the artifacts that are related to your container image. But now you can put MCP servers if you want to, or
it's pretty helpful, right? Usually as you put stuff into container images, they kind of get hidden inside. But now if you're using these kind of capabilities on an OCI compliant registry, you can kind of get the whole list still, which is pretty good for transparency. And so ACR, not only is ACR supporting that, but AKS is using that as part of its ongoing features for things like network isolated clusters and things like that, where it's pulling both the system images as well as binaries, which is how we're using it. And so it just supports any kind of binary that you put there.
Supports any kind of binary, and yes, you said it right. You guys are already using it in AKS.
Very good, very good. And as we shift gears maybe a little bit to the future, I know there's a very rich roadmap that the team's working on. A lot of features that customers are looking, a lot of features that we're working in partnership. What are some of the things that you're most excited about?
Really, coming back to the performance is one thing that I'm really looking for, because we want to make ACR really highly scalable to support all kind of workloads that are coming up. You know, the hype word right now is AI.
Yes.
And we are not talking anymore about like 100, 200 megabytes images. We are talking about 30 gigabyte images that you want to pull on like hundreds or thousands of nodes. And we want to make sure that actually our product is ready to support such type of workloads going forward.
Very good, very good. I mean, that's exciting. It's always more silent work that maybe users only see when they do a pull, and they see it being faster or slower, but it's so important and so crucial for the AI scenarios, as you mentioned. A lot of our different customers that are doing like scale up type of scenarios where they're scaling very fast and they need all the different pieces from getting new nodes, new containers, new images getting so fast. That is pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate you having it. For all of you there, thank you as always for attending another AKS Me Anything. Let us know what you think of this ongoing season 2. What kind of topics you'd like to have us talk about. We're trying to answer all the topics we got from you on season 1, and a lot more surprises up and coming. Don't forget to subscribe to our AKS community and like this video if it helps and if it gave you information you were looking for. And as always, see you in the next one.